Welcome back to In Pursuit of Magic, where we explore the things that inspire us, connect us, and the magic we find along the way. I'm Matthew Medina, and today I am very, very excited to welcome a veteran performer with 3 decades of industry experience who has built a rich career in a lot of different roles that shows off her range. She's appeared in a wide range of films and television shows, including the original Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Ghost of the Ozarks, Greedy People, and many others, and is currently very beloved as Martha Kent, Superman's adopted mom in James Gunn's blockbuster Superman, and probably the future, as was just announced, a role that resonated deeply with fans. Neva, I'm so excited to have you on. Thank you for being here.
Well, I'm happy to be here too, Matthew. And actually, it's been 4 decades
Wow.
that I've been acting.
Yeah. Which is incredible to think about, that you've been doing this for a long time and putting your heart and soul into all these roles. And now you're playing this iconic, kind of historic character that plays a pivotal role in such a larger than life character. And I'm a little curious in terms of what that has meant for you so far.
It's a little hard to even quantify because when I started, I did not realize how deeply the fans were connected to not only Superman, but Ma and Pa. And as I became aware of just how important, how integral both of these characters were, there was a sense of responsibility and a sense of awe that through, Superman, I think it's over 100 years old. And these characters have lived with the fans all this time without losing any of their importance or significance to them. So it takes a little while to get your mind around that you're actually part of that universe now.
I can imagine. And it's funny because you've been part of some iconic franchises and a lot of different projects over the years. And that makes me a little curious then also, apart from playing Ma, is there another role or project that you're especially proud of and means a lot to you?
Well, I am proud of everything I did. Some things were imperfect, and especially when I was younger, I didn't quite know what I was doing, like everybody else that's trying to bring something authentic to the screen. A lot of things get in the way, your ego, your lack of understanding of how the camera works and how all of the elements come together. But I'm proud of everything that I did because I booked it.
Yeah.
And there were so many who didn't. So there's something that sets you apart already if you end up in front of the camera. So I would say I'm proud of all of them. As far as which ones were personally more rewarding than others, I loved Ghost of the Ozarks. I loved Greedy People. They cut a lot of my lines in that, but what remained was still, I thought, very funny and horrifying at the same time. I love Mima in 911 Nashville. I hope they bring her back for season 2 because to me, she's just a wonderful character, a wonderful addition to that show. So I hope they bring her back. But, Ma Kent, what can compare to that?
Yeah.
So she's my favorite and probably always will be.
Understandably so, too. I mean, I can only imagine you learning about the role and kind of her part in Superman's story and how vital she is. So I'm curious for you, what drew you to the role in this maternal figure that really helps to shape his moral compass?
Well, to begin with, I didn't know it was Superman. They had changed all the names. So what drew me to it was money. It was a role and it was good. And I I was going to get paid for it and I was going to get to do what I love to do, which is act. After I found out it was Ma, well, really after the movie came out more, I realized this is impacting people in such a positive way. Now, not everybody liked the direction that James went with Ma, and I understand that. But the overwhelming response I've gotten is that they felt connected to someone that they had lost and loved. And the value of that to me is more than money. So to be part of something like that is very rewarding to me.
Absolutely. And I think you're right that there's a very big human connection to these characters, and in this interpretation, I think it was a brilliant choice kind of starting off this story already in the middle of the world. You know, he's already Superman, his parents are already established, and there's all this stuff going on. And it makes the audience, I think, curious about that world and these characters where they want to see more, you know, and it made me very curious about Ma and Pa, because we get such a special scene with Pa and Clark talking. And Ma's less of the mushy type and has me very curious in terms of her dynamic and raising Clark, and thinking about all the different interpretations through the years of media with Ma. We get to see her at different age groups with Clark, whether he's a teenager or an adult, before he becomes Superman, after. And so I'm curious if there was a scene where you would have with Clark, David, how do you think her approach would be with giving him advice about being a hero? And I'm even thinking of how he's mentoring Supergirl, because that's a big story that's happening. The movie's coming out, and I
Very
know
excited.
future
I want
movies
to
will have
see
her.
it.
Yeah, me too. And especially, you know, I have a personal connection because I've loved these characters for so long. And last year, my wife was pregnant with a little girl. We would kind of jokingly call her our little Supergirl. And when she was born, we decided to call her Kara. So now she has a deep connection to the character, and I love seeing all the merch and everything around because she's my Supergirl. So it makes me
That's
very curious
fantastic.
then, because you gave such a beautiful answer recently about advice that maybe Ma would give to Kara, and how to guide her and just love her. And so I'm curious then, what advice would you give to Clark about mentoring Kara?
And I will give whatever advice James Gunn asked me to give, but in my mind, this my Ma, um, teaches by example more than by words, and teaches by constant and unwavering support, um, and allowing them, whether it's Clark or Kara, to see themselves the way she sees them, and to allow them to find their own way. Um, Pa, you know, is I loved the scene on outside between Pa and Clark, and I feel like Pa is that lodestone for Clark, that the one he goes to talk things out. But I think Ma is the one that stands in the background, understanding it all and being that constant support for him, and recognizing and supporting the bond that he has with his father. And I feel like her way is more of a silent support, or very few words. She loves to talk. She's much more talkative. We see that in the phone call than Pa.
Yeah.
But when it comes to helping them, I think she's more of a what's the word I'm thinking of? Not guardian, vanguard. There's a
Yeah,
word I'm
I think
trying
so.
to. Someone who stands uh, in at attention for someone. You know, they're there at any point that they're needed. They're right there. So Clark knows that. He feels that, whether Ma ever says anything about it or not.
I love that too, because I think it really shows in the scene where Clark is seeing what's going on the TV, and has to go back into the danger. And it could have been very easy for Ma to be written in a way where she's worried and it's like, oh, you know, maybe keep resting or something like that. But instead, she understands Clark well enough to know that he's not going to sit back and let things happen. He's going to go back, and she jumps into action and says, "I cleaned your boots. I'll go get them." And
And
I think that's a
yes,
beautiful thing.
while he's watching the TV, you never know how it's going to be edited, but there was a moment where Ma realized he was going to have to go, and there was real concern. That didn't make it into the film, but it was momentary because Ma went through it. She quickly grasped that it didn't matter what she was feeling, that he was going to have to go. So what can I do to help him? And then she did what, in very practical terms, was what she could do. Instead of saying, I'll be worried about you, be careful even, I'll get you boots because you're going to need those.
Yeah,
She's
I think
very
that's the beauty.
practical.
She is, and I think that's the beauty in her character and the way you portray her, where, like you said, she's someone of few words but a lot of action when it
I
comes
think
to those
probably
moments.
after that, she grabbed some food and sent with him. Even though Superman doesn't have to eat, he loves to eat, and she knows that. So she would have grabbed some food and sent it with him.
I love that too, because it's just she's still a mom at the end of the day, and I think that's the beauty of these characters and how sweet it is. And you got to work so closely with David and Pruitt Taylor Vince. What was it like building that Kent family dynamic?
It was beautiful. And I've said this before. I just said it at the Superman celebration, but Pruitt was immediately Pa. When I first heard him read the first words out of his mouth, I just thought, okay, you don't have to read anybody else. There's Pa. So him being so authentic and grounded in Pa, and David being so Superman for
Yeah.
every pore was him. It made it very easy for me to fit myself into that dynamic. And I'm grateful to both of them for what they created that helped me co-create with them this environment of Clark's life on the farm.
And it shows on screen. I think it's a very sincere dynamic that you guys have, and I think especially I was thinking just in the bedroom scene of them watching over him while he's passed out, and Lois is kind of taking that in and seeing that and the beauty in that. Um, she's such an interesting character, Martha, and you've done a lot of character work over the years. You studied acting in New York and the National Shakespeare Conservatory and time in Los Angeles. How did those experiences shape you for your approach to character work, and especially for grounded roles like Martha?
Well, I have to be honest here. Most classes kind of hindered me. Um, I'm a very organic, body-based actor. I find it in the body. How would my body respond in this situation? So a lot of the classes were either too analytical, too left brain, or a lot of the method classes, and I'm not saying this about all methods, but a lot of them kind of bordered on abuse to me. I'm like, I'm not going to do that to myself to bring authenticity. There has to be a better way. So when I found out about Michael Chekhov, that fit me like a glove. And I didn't take a lot of classes, just enough to understand, okay, the way I instinctively do it, there's a procedure for that. There's a protocol for that. And he has developed it. So I'll pull from his exercises when I need them.
How has it affected your character work and your approach to grounded characters?
Oh, improv has been very valuable because it got me past the terror of not knowing.
Yeah.
There was a true terror when I did the groundlings, the first stage of that training. And I would be fine until I got up there, and then it was like I had a brain a minute ago. I don't know where it went. And it was disturbing to me because I was thinking, what the heck is that disconnect? And then I realized it was fear. So coming to be able to be willing to fall on your face with a choice, utterly the wrong choice, but to be willing to go there, sometimes that's necessary to get to what will work.
Yeah, I think so too.
Improv is very valuable.
And I've heard similar things. I had spoken to someone who also was in the Groundlings and talked about improv and how scared it made them. And they're used to very kind of being prepared and knowing what to do and say. And it's hard, but it also then trains you for other moments, I think, in acting. But
exactly.
Yeah, it's tough.
It is. It was for me.
And you're originally from the South and Georgia area, and I'm curious how that has helped or influenced your portrayal of Martha Kent, because she has a very Midwest kind of personality.
Yes. Yes. I would say that being Southern, one of the things that we have two reputations, depending on what part of the South you're from. Either overly polite, kill you with kindness, or redneck blunt, that feels like a slap in the face. And I think both of those have come in handy for certain roles. But with Ma, it was more of an amalgam of what I think is really good about Southern women. They're typically strong. They're typically family-oriented. Family is everything. And they typically have a really good sense of humor about themselves and about the world. So those things, I think, have informed just about every role I've ever done.
Yeah, and I think again it shows. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways that I felt, and I've heard a lot of people talk about with you as Ma and Pa, that there was such a sincereness and authenticity to your portrayals that just brought so much more heart and to the centerpiece of the story. And that's not out of the ordinary when it comes to the character of Ma, I think, especially in Superman's history. And so I'm wondering what you hope that audiences take away from your portrayal.
Well, I did mention Pat Christie and Tom Christie. They were the tapes that Pruitt and I listened to. And Pat is just a Ma Kent in her own life. So I've enjoyed very much getting to know her and to be able to integrate her personality into Ma, because she's a very vivacious, funny, kind, wise person. So I just wanted to mention her always because I appreciate her so much. I have maybe a different approach or perspective on that. I want them to take what they want to take. I want it to be their journey with the character. And for each person, I realize that's going to be different. So I don't really feel like it's my place to tell them or to try to make them feel anything. They will feel what they need to feel by the way they connect with the character. If I want them to take anything away, it is that I did my very best to give them an authentic representation of the character. But what they do with that in their minds and their hearts, that's a very individual thing.
Well, I really think you succeeded in doing that and in making your mark with the character. And you were recently shown a lot of love at Superman Celebration and a couple of other conventions. What was that like?
Oh, it was wonderful. You might notice I have a lot of stuff sitting around. Can I show you some things?
Absolutely.
Okay. The fans were just wonderful, and they give me all these wonderful gifts. I got these bracelets. They say up, and away, and be kind. I love those.
Oh, I love it.
This is another bracelet. I don't know if you can see, but it's Superman flying.
Oh,
That was from Sean Eastridge, and I love that. And this Superman bracelet is from Neil Cole at Superman Super Site. And then I get
wow.
all kinds of comic books. I don't know. I think this was either Derek Russell or Sean Eastridge. Derek is Super House of L, and Sean is the Nerd Party. This right here is really special because, when we filmed in the farmhouse for the first one, the family that owned the farmhouse were very happy to have us there. And their daughter, or maybe granddaughter, made these for all the cast. So that's a sweet memory.
Oh,
These are purple flowers because someone saw that I posted that I was a purple flower in the first grade. So they brought me a bouquet of purple flowers. Isn't that wonderful? And all kinds of comic books. I always tell, if you send me comic books, I will eventually read them, but they're kind of hard for me to read because of all the clouds and everything. I have trouble following.
Yeah.
This was from my niece, and I love this. Can you still hear me away from the microphone?
Yeah, I could hear you fine.
Because I'm bad with microphones.
I can hear you well.
This is a photo by Trevor Hawkins. One of the few times I was actually glammed up a little bit, and he drew that for me. And this fella, I can't remember his name. I'm going to have to get back with you on that, but he drew this, and I love the way he drew Ma. This is from the premiere. They gave us a bunch of swag. And this is the only tape I have left. It'll probably go to some young fan eventually. And let's see. This is not all. I just have tons of gifts. Oh, this is cute. I love this comic. Can you see it? It's all about Mothman.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah, I think that was from Sean.
So cute.
The thing about it is, I'm afraid to take them out of the wrapper. I'm afraid I'll damage them or something, but I do eventually read them as people get them.
It's incredible.
And if I miss talking about this gift or that gift, it's because that would be all we were doing if I tried to talk about all of them. But I love the fans. I love how, supportive they are and how they just have so much heart. It's wonderful to meet them.
Well, as a fan, it's also beautiful for us to see when people who are part of the movie have such a heart and passion for what they're doing and what they're a part of and how seriously they take it, which I think is a beautiful thing. I think of Christopher Reeve and how much he loved the character to the point where he felt protective of it. And not everyone has that feeling when they take on a role, but I've seen it with you and a lot of the cast and, of course, James Gunn. So it's beautiful to see, and I'm so glad the experience at Superman Celebration especially was so overwhelming.
Well, when I went to the Superman museum, and if you don't mind, can you tag them and Morgan Siebert? Because Morgan let me hold, I think you're using the picture of the crystals at the beginning. Those are the actual crystals that Christopher Reeve held in one of the Superman movies. I'm not sure which one, but when I held them, it was the most phenomenal feeling because Christopher Reeve, not just a superhero on the screen, but one in real life. He was a phenomenal human being, and we lost him way too soon. But while he was here, what an impact he had. It's just to be able to hold those for just a moment was amazing. And I did have a friend put a solid background on there because I wanted those crystals to be in the front and forefront. So I really thank Morgan for letting me have that once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah, it's a beautiful photo too, and an unbelievable moment. I mean, getting to hold those and experience that is a special
I'll never
experience.
forget it. And she let me hold the face mask that he wore. and the original script. So, uh, I think I floated on air for the rest of the day after that. It was just phenomenal.
Well, what's incredible is now you're also part of this legacy and forever going to be Martha Kent, which is a beautiful thing. You know, people will grow up seeing you in this portrayal and knowing what it is for the importance of someone like Ma to be in Clark's life and making him who he is, which I think is a beautiful thing that you're able to pour your heart and soul into that role.
Thank you. And thanks to James Gunn for an amazing vision. I think the world hasn't seen that vision yet. It's so huge, but
Oh, I
it's
know.
weaving itself into our reality.
Yeah, and I'm very excited for it. I think his take on things was so refreshing and so beautiful and felt so accurate and right, at least for me, that it makes me very excited for the future. And I know it was officially announced that you will be returning in Man of Tomorrow, which is also very exciting. And I think important because, like I said, she's such an important part of Clark's journey.
I was very grateful. You know, you never know with a series of films if you will make it from one to the next. So I was very happy when I got the news that I would be coming back. Very surprised at the script, and that's all I can say. But, you know, I think that people are going to be taken for an amazing ride, you know, with Man of Tomorrow, and I can't wait for people to see it in the theater.
I'm very excited. I'm trying to stay away from anything that has been leaking from people because I know they've been filming already, and it's hard because people just want to talk about it. But I'm very
It's very
excited for the
hard.
future of it.
And I've already had things interpreted that I've said before, you know, like I wasn't saying that.
Well, people will
Fans are
always
gonna
try to
do that.
guess.
They're
It
gonna
doesn't mean
have
that they're
their
right.
theories. Yeah. They are definitely going to have their theories, and and I think they read into anything you say. What could that possibly mean? So I
Absolutely.
don't mind that, but I'm very nervous because I try my best not to give away anything that would, you know, dampen the surprise and the full experience in the theater, because I want fans to have that. They deserve that.
Absolutely. And I could feel that there are a lot of surprises in store. And I think that's part of the fun, not knowing
You don't
exactly what's
even
coming.
know.
I mean, I've seen cast members be announced, but not told who they're playing, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I wonder what this is.
Yes. We know Matthew Lillard is playing some role, but we don't know what. I met him, and he is a delight. I just
Wow.
really adore him. I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him, and I can't tell you anything about that either. But I did get the opportunity to at least meet him, and that was wonderful.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, it's so awesome and so cool that this cast is also expanding. I mean, the press tour and the behind the scenes that I saw for the first one was so expansive and so massive, and it felt like a family celebrating this character, and it feels like that family is just growing.
It feels very much like a family to me. I feel
Which
very
is, I think,
protective. You
important.
know, Supergirl, I feel very protective of her, both as Ma and both as Neva to Millie. You know, seeing her in the interview, she's so candid, so
Yeah,
vulnerable, so lovely that I'm just really excited for her and can't wait to see Supergirl. I'm excited for Lanterns. I'm excited
yes,
for everything that uh, I'm excited to see what James Gunn and Peter Safran have up their sleeve for the next couple of years, because they did announce that they pretty much know what's going to happen. You know, they kind of got it mapped out. So
yeah.
I can't wait to see how they create this universe.
Me too. I think they said that they know what the next chapter is going to be, which is
Well, I
incredible.
think Peter
And
Safran even said something to the effect. Now, I may be wrong about this, but I think I read that he said they kind of know what's happening for the next year or two. I think is what I read.
yeah, I think I've read that too.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievable. I mean, I feel like we're just at the start of some really exciting times, and it's funny you mentioned being protective of the character of Supergirl and also Millie, because you're right. Like, she's very sincere in interviews and on red carpets, and as with any fandom, there's going to be a lot of different opinions and statements and comments and all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff, and I feel it too because I love the character and I love how sincere she is, and now that I have my personal connection with my daughter, I feel protective of the character even more.
I bet you do. Well, here's my
I do.
thing. Here's my thing. People are completely free to have different opinions, but I will not abide cruelty or
Same.
mean spirited comments. I don't think they're needed. I know they're not needed. And they're not necessary for you to get across the point that you may not like this or that choice. But
Yeah,
be kind. Be a punk rocker. Don't be that person. Mm-mm.
absolutely. Because I feel like being that kind of person is the antithesis of what Superman is and who he stands
I
for.
do. I feel like if they are that way, they're not really Superman fans.
Agreed.
Someone I respect said that. Sorry, I'm blanking on who it was. But yeah, if they were true Superman fans and understood what Superman is all about, they would not make those kind of comments.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that's why the character has been such a goal post maybe for me, and someone to admire and try to model my choices and actions more like, um, because he's the ultimate symbol of kindness, I think, and understanding. I know there's been lines with describing how he looks at everyone in the world as beautiful, and um, I think I've been guilty of that sometimes, maybe sometimes to my detriment. Where it would hurt my feelings if I was disappointed to find out something different. Um, but then I'm also proud of the character of Supergirl. We hear in the trailer her say, I see the world or people for what the truth is or what they really are. And I think there's a beautiful balance within her, which is also incredible too. So it's got me very excited for each character and their personalities, but also how they are together and the future. And I'm sure for you guys as the cast members working with them and crafting these personalities and reading the scripts, it's interesting to act against and to talk to these characters.
I,
You're finding that balance between seeing the world as a beautiful place and the people in it as beautiful, but also there's a realism there too that not everyone is so good or gonna make the right choice.
yes. Well, I think we saw that in the first one when he hears the rest of the message and realizes his parents sent him here to rule over Earth rather than to help humans. And like I said before, I think Ma would be this silent example that that's not who you are. I think that's what she was trying to say at the bedside. When you get these scripts and you have two words and then you get cut off because she said that ain't, because he said I was sent here to kill people, Ma. And I say that ain't twice. But there was no more to that line. So in my mind, I was trying to tell him that's not who you are. That's who they wanted you to be, but that's not who you are. And that's essentially what Pa told him. So I think Ma and Pa have a united front that, yes, there will be those who are less than good, that may even be evil, like Lex Luthor feels, to Clark. But your choices, that's what makes you who you are, not what other people do or how they are. So that's the balance. And with Kara, she's a lot more hot-headed and, she's a lot more aggressive. So, I'm not sure how Ma would temper that. Maybe to say, don't be the person that is wrong. Don't become that person in what you're doing. Find a way to do what's necessary without becoming the thing that you hate or the thing that's hurting people. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. Yeah, and that sounds so true to these characters and this world. And again, has me so excited for the future. And just thinking of in terms of beautiful moments, I'm wondering, was there a particular moment within the process of the first film and maybe in talking about the second that stands out to you as just a very special moment for you?
Well, there's most definitely a special moment in the second one, which I cannot talk about, but it is so incredibly rich for me. And I can't wait for the fans to experience that with me. But in the first one, which I can talk about, there were so many moments that were just beautiful. I'm thinking of even when we were filming with all of the kids for the final scene, which I did not get the full impact until I saw it on the screen, because we filmed all day, might have been 2 days, but I think it was one whole day with all these different children. And so the process of that and seeing Clark building the history of Ma and Pa raising this child through those experience, the pictures, Ma sitting, and they pass so fast that a lot of people may not have seen all of them, but Ma sitting with Pa, with Clark reading, teaching him to read, or playing in the cornfield. Some of that wasn't shown, but they were playing hide and seek and just creating that history for myself made it so much more real, that we had lived this life with him all through these moments. And there was one improv that is in there, but it's fast, is Pruitt. He was just joking and said, well, we ought to do Shakespeare in there somewhere. Pa doing Shakespeare. So they have Ma sitting as audience and Pa with Clark, and he's saying, to be or not to be. And Clark is repeating it. And I loved that, because Pruitt made the joke, and then James said, let's do it. And I mean, never mind what we were set up to do. Let's go over here and do this. So everybody's like, okay, we're going over here now. That's part of the magic of working with James Gunn. He gets an idea in his head and it's all systems go. Total pivot,
And it is such a beautiful scene being all put together. And that did make me curious. Was that all shot in one day or a couple days?
I think it was one long day, but it might have been part of another day. My memory is not clear on that. But I know at least one long day.
It definitely came together so perfectly on screen. I don't think there was a dry eye in the theater.
Mine certainly went dry.
It was just so beautiful. And, I think that's part of the magic of storytelling and filmmaking and of this movie and this world, and how it can make people feel very human, even when it's an out of this world story, and just beauty in stories in general. And so that leads me to my last two questions, which is, where do you find magic in the world, and how do you hope to create magic for others?
I do find magic in creativity, any kind of creativity, whether it's singing, dancing, acting, writing, painting, anything that allows me to create, even watching a movie and creating my own experience of that while I'm watching it, being out in nature, being around children and pets, all of those things are so full of life and I find that magical. As far as what the second part was, what was the
Oh, how
second
do you hope to create
question?
magic for other people?
Okay. See that a little differently too. I don't hope to create magic for anyone. I hope to extend an invitation to co-create a magical moment together. If you, an analogy that you could use is, let's say we were camping, and we're placing all of the kindling very carefully, just right, so that the fire will burn high and bright and beautiful and burn for a long time. But until the match is struck, it's just a pile of carefully placed kindling. So I see the actors and directors, producers, the whole cast placing the kindling, but it is the audience that lights the fire. And so without them, it is an impressive pile of kindling, but that's all. So I want to invite magic with other people rather than trying to create it for them.
I think it's a beautiful way to look at it. And it really shows the importance of collaboration and connecting with others, which I think is the whole point of art and sharing that art and working together. So Neva, just thank you so much for being on here and creating magic with me and collaborating with me. It is complete joy and honor to have you on. You're a dream guest, and I hope to have you on again after Man of Tomorrow so we could talk more.
I would love that.
But you are brilliant and so wonderful,
Oh.
and it made me so happy to have you.
Oh, I know.
And before we wrap up, I normally ask my guests if they could just say their name and tell everyone listening to go out there and do some magic.
Hey, this is Neva Howell, and I'm inviting you all, go out there and co-create some magic in the world. You can do it. You are it.
You heard her. Until next time, everybody. Thank you.